Hi there. I think I'm live. So this is exciting. First time going live on StreamYard on LinkedIn. And I'm here to talk about why I changed careers at age 40 and how you can too. So I've got the why, the what, and the how of a midlife career change. And if you've been reading the papers lately, there's this. I changed career. Just turn it off. Don't have your phone on with the same stream, otherwise you'll get the voicing of that as well. So yeah, why I changed careers at midlife. And you may have read about people epiphany quitting. It's been called the Great Resignation, the Great Awakening. And it seems that 95% of people are considering changing careers at the moment as a result of or coming out of this pandemic. And that's really what brings me here today, because that statistic is huge. And whatever you call it, it seems that we are reevaluating what makes us happy. We've reevaluated over this 18 months of lockdown our lives and what motivates us in work. Some people want to advance their careers, they felt stuck. And others have been experiencing this work from home burnout with the blurring of work and life boundaries. And a lot of people are feeling more anxious and unhappy than before. And so people want to take control back in a year that has taken so much away from them. And there's been this shift from wanting a life based on more materialistic capitalist values or measures of success, to this more fulfilling and maybe more intrinsic and sustainable definition of success, whether that's spending more time around your family, having less time commuting. So I'm Charlie, and I'm going to be sharing my story about going from the global head of concept development, responsible for over 40 countries, to becoming the life and career redesign coach, which is where I am now. And I will share 5 questions at the end that you can ask yourself to know whether it's time to step up or move on in your career. So what is my story? I had been at this company, which I loved, for 10 years. I'd had a great career. I'd moved from Bangkok to Singapore to Paris, where I lived for 3 years. And then I'd relocated to London. I'd just had the biggest promotion of my career the year before. And on paper, it was perfect. I had title, status, money, I traveled. I got my BA Gold card within 3 months of moving to London, which I wore like a badge of honor. It was something that was really linked to my identity. And yet I had never been so unhappy. And it was really impacting me. I was starting to get almost depressed, if I'm honest. So I took a summer holiday. I rested, I relaxed, I meditated, I did yoga, and I came back to work that autumn refreshed. But the reality is, it was like putting a plaster over the problem. And I remember sitting in this strategy meeting with my team, and we had this big map on the wall. And my boss started in Alaska, and we went through all the markets. We went all the way down to the tip of South America. We covered Africa, the Middle East, Asia. And by the time he got to Australia, I felt exactly as I had before I'd gone on annual leave. And I felt it in the pit of my stomach. I knew in my body, it was physical, I couldn't do this for another day, never mind another year. So I had to make some changes. I had to make some changes. And so that's one important thing, that mind-body connection, because sometimes we will numb, we'll keep busy, we'll avoid. But that's what lockdown's given us. It's forced us to sit and face some of those things that we've been avoiding with busyness or other ways of avoiding. So why did I decide to change careers, and why did this happen? The reality is there's 2 things. One, I like to describe it like I'd been at the business for 10 years. And it's like reading the same book for 10 years. It's got the same characters, the same plot, the same challenges to overcome, and a lot of things were repeating. And although I'd had several promotions, fundamentally that didn't change, and I needed something new, a new challenge. And the second thing that cannot be underestimated was in the promotion that I'd started working in a sector that was contrary to my values. And this is around being authentic and living in integrity. And I tried to do it. I really wanted to keep going, but I couldn't. And it very nearly broke me. I'm going to be honest. So I had to take some very difficult choices. So how did I do this? I was terrified. I was 39. I was in this big career. I really identified with being a global head, and I had the safety net of that framework and structure around the business. And the thought of leaving that was terrifying. So I got a life coach, and we spent 6 months, coaching me through this. What could I do? What decisions could I make? But traditional coaching is non-directive. And so I didn't know what to do. And the coaching is non-directive, so it can be quite a frustrating experience. And to be honest with you, it was hitting the wall in that strategy meeting that made me decide I had to make some changes, because the pain of staying where I was had started to outweigh the pain and the fear of making that change. And that's often when big changes will be made, when we make big changes. So I had to learn to trust myself again. I had to learn to trust my intuition around what I wanted to do. And that didn't happen overnight. And that's where the coaching did help. And to be honest with you, one of the things I'd wanted to do for a really long time was to become a life coach. And I had put it to one side. That's what other people do. I couldn't possibly do that. And actually, and this is true for so many people when they take these big career changes later in life, there is something that they've been curious about, but they've just not been willing to admit to themselves. And so the next step for me was to create an exit plan. And I did this with my boss. I'm a corporate girl, so I created a quarterly plan to help me exit and to plan how am I going to navigate this transition. And I retrained as a life coach, and I love what I do. I can't say that I don't wake up in the middle of the night worrying about things, but what I'm worried about is, it's not even worry. I'm thinking about the work that I'm doing and how can I make it even better. And I'm so excited about that will keep me awake. Look, I'm not saying it's easy, but I am living in alignment with my values, and I am so much happier. I'm lit up. I'm probably a different person today to who I was when I left. And that didn't happen overnight. I'd started my career, young and excited, and we change, we mold ourselves to the places that we're in, and we get chipped away at over time. And we can become captive to our money and our status and our title and our lives, and we feel like we can't make changes. However, having been through this process, this is why I'm so passionate about this. I'm now the life and career redesign coach, and I help people to explore, dream, and discover a life and career that will light them up and make them happy, and to take time to create a roadmap to that next career change. And it doesn't have to be a rupture. It doesn't have to be a great resignation or epiphany quitting. We can create this North Star for you that you start to work towards now, so that you can make that career change when the time is right. So yeah, that's really, the what, where, and the how. So I'm curious, are you one of the 95% who is thinking about quitting your job? If that is you, I'd like to offer 5 questions to help you know if it's time to leave. So the first question is, are you enjoying your work? Are you positive and excited to go to work each day? Or are you unhappy almost every day when you're doing this? And is it impacting you and your happiness and your sleep, your wellness? It's so important. The second thing is the environment and the management supportive? Do you feel supported by them? Do you have the work-life balance that you want or need? If you do, that's great. If you feel supported and connected, that's wonderful. If you don't, and if the environment is tainted, it's sort of a toxic environment. Sorry, I've got hay fever. Then, and that includes the people, your boss, the environment, then you really need to think about that. That's not a good sign. Are you learning and growing? Are you utilizing the skills that you love to use? Are you growing or are you stagnating? Answer that question. And then the fifth question I would ask, the fourth question is, do you believe in what you're doing? Do you believe in the outputs that you're creating? Does that actually light you up? Can you create a narrative around why that's important to you? Or a bit like me, is it becoming contrary to your values as it was when I left? And that became very, very difficult for me. So the fifth question is, are you able to be your authentic self at work? And this is a tricky one because many of us feel like we have to be professionals at work, and I certainly did. And one of my biggest regrets is actually, could I have been more open and authentic? Could I have let people in more? And because there were some wonderful people there, it was such a great company and I loved it. But I don't think I've built the relationships that I could have done had I been more authentic, had I been more willing to let people see the real me. And that is a shame. So those are the 5 questions. If you have answered no to more than 3, it's probably time to take action. So the first thing I would ask is, can the situation be improved by having a conversation with someone at work, your line manager, your boss, the leadership, or HR, or by taking a holiday? And if you just need a break, that's valid too. I did that. I did all the yoga and meditation, but as I said, I came back and within 1 hour I was back to where I was. And so I knew that this was not something that, I could meditate through. Something had to change. So yeah, that's the first question. And if the answer is no, it's not going to improve through those measures, then it probably is time to look at moving on. But this doesn't have to be scary. You can feel supportive and supported and be guided. It doesn't have to be the frustrating experience that I went through. So as I say, I've got a 12-week structured program that will help you to be guided through that process to make it a lot less intimidating and hopefully a lot more exciting. So I wanted to come in and share that with you. I hope it's been interesting and I would love to hear your thoughts. And if you'd like to know more, please drop me a message. You can book a free discovery session where you get to experience coaching and learn more about the program. And generally, I'd just love to hear from you and your feedback. Have you been experiencing? I'm dying to know if people really are experiencing this this epiphany quitting. 95% is such a big number. Anyway, enough from me. That's my first live. Hey, I've ripped off the bandage, so I've done that one. And I hope to hear from you. Take care.